what happened. Shabbat Shalom. So we read through Deuteronomy 6, 1 through 13. We'll go into it, but we're going to pray right now. So everybody, let's lift up our eyes. Yah, Elohim of Israel, we just thank you for who you are. We are your people. You are our Elohim. Thank you for your word, Yah, how you teach us in your word. You have called us out, Yah, of idolatry, and we just want to praise you. There is no one beside you. No one is your equal. You are one. You are one in unity, and there was no one like you. We just want to lift you up on high. You created the heavens and the earth, Yah. We just want to praise you. Thank you for this word. Speak for us, Yah, we pray, in honor and glory unto you. Baruch Hashem, hallelujah, amen. So Deuteronomy 6 and verse 1. I really like this, the thoughts that he give us in this. This week as we were listening, we saw either the quote or somebody talking about, it's not the commandments, but the one who gave them. It's about the one who gave them. You are serving the one who gave the commandments. As we are reading in this, Deuteronomy 6 and verse 1, and this is the commandment and the laws and the right rulings which Yah, your Elohim, has commanded to teach you to do in the land that you are passing over to possess, that you revere, you respect Yah, your Elohim, to guard all his laws and his commands. So you have New Testament doctrine, which teaches that do away with the law. We have a new law. We have new commands. No wonder the people have forgotten him. Because right here he says, you shall revere me to guard my laws. We know guard is shamar, that's protect, preserve my laws and the commands which I command you, you and your son and your grandson, all the days of your life, that your days be prolonged. That's a very important part that we're going to get into this morning, because he's telling you keep the laws, observe to do them, and teach them to your children. And we'll learn why as we continue on through this. It is to be passed down from generation to generation. So that commandment is mitzvah. It is a code of wisdom. You will be wise. And it talks about that in the Torah, that the nations will see who is a wise nation like this nation who has Yah so close to them. So your wisdom, or these commandments, are a code of wisdom. Laws, orders, it is a commission to keep this, preserve it, and pass it down. If you do not pass it down, it will not be preserved. Laws, orders, commission, it is a constitute. It means to enjoin. We are one on this covenant. We talked about that last week. That's what the whole thing's about, is a covenant. It is about a relationship, and we'll get into that also. So constitute, enjoin, it is to set in order. So we think about how things got thrown out of order. In the beginning, Yah had a plan. He said, don't eat of this tree. You can eat of any other tree, but don't eat any of this tree. Don't eat of the knowledge of good and evil. Don't eat that tree. And that was his plan. Don't eat this tree. And then man made his own plans. I'm going to eat of this tree. So what did that do? It threw things out of order. So we are trying to get back and being restored back into order. So how does that happen? Through his commandments. He is restoring that to set back in order, or to set in order. So that's what a commandment is. It's a mitzvah. And you shall hear, O Yisrael, and shall guard to do, that it might be well with you, and that you increase greatly, as Yah, Elohim of your fathers, has spoken to you, a land flowing with milk and honey. That is a very important part, too, of this. They're in Egypt. When they talk about it in the wilderness, they only say great things about Egypt. Where are the leeks? Where are the melons? Where we had this and we had that while we were in Egypt. Why did you bring us out to kill us and our children and our livestock? Okay? I think that was a part of the plan. And the reason I say that is because what did Yah promise them before they came out of Egypt? I'm going to bring you into a land flowing with milk and honey. Ooh. Ooh, that sounds nice. I want that. Let's get out of here. It's a very pivotal part in what Yah did there. Okay? So he says here, I'm bringing you out, a land flowing with milk and honey. Hear, O Yisrael, Yah our Elohim, Yah is one. I really love that verse. I mean, Shema is just very prevalent in Judaism. It's just very prevalent for anybody that wants to know the Tanakh. Obey Israel. Israel, obey. That's what he's saying. Hear, O Israel. So you want to obey Yah, your Elohim, nobody else's. He is the Elohim of Israel. Yah is one. So he's not many. He is unity. He is one. There is no one like him. That's what that means. He is one. Oneness. So hear, O Israel. That's pretty simple. Who is this addressed to? His people. Israel. Hear, O Israel. Obey Yah, your Elohim, and no one else. That's what that's saying. Okay? And you shall love Yah, your Elohim, with all your heart and with all your being and with all your might. And these words which I am commanding you today, they shall be in your heart, and you shall impress them upon your children, and shall speak of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. Realize everything you do leaves an impression. He said, you shall impress them upon your children. So how do you do that? Through your actions. That's how you impress this upon your children, by doing it. How many times has he said that? He just said it continually in Deuteronomy 6. So you shall keep it to do it. And then you're going to impress it upon your children. Why? So that they keep it to do it and pass it down. So these are the words. You shall love Yah, your Elohim, with all your heart and with all your being, with all your might. All these words which I am commanding you today shall be in your heart to do them. You shall have a desire to do them. And you shall impress them upon your children, and shall speak of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them as a sign, a signal, on your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. So it's going to guide you everywhere you go. And you shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. And it shall be, when Yah your Elohim brings you into the land of which he swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Yitzhak, and to Jacob, to give you great and good cities which you did not build. Okay, now, the message. The very first thing that he says in Deuteronomy is what? Keep my commands. I'm going to bring you into this land. So what is he trying to do? He's disciplining them. He's disciplining them. You can't do everything you want to do in your life. That's what I was teaching my son this morning. I've got 28 years over my son. What does that mean? I've learned a few things over those 28 years. Things that he does not understand. I asked him this morning, why do I correct you? He said, because I do wrong. And I said, no, because I love you. So that's the reality of it. He corrects you because he loves you. He corrects you because he cares about you. He corrects you because he wants you to live and enter into the land. And it talks about that. Just as a father corrects his son, so he chastens you. So, he cares about you. He shall bind them. Now, notice, discipline. The first thing, you discipline and you are disciplined. And then he says, teach this to your children. Pass it down from generation to generation. And then we get to the pivotal part. Notice what he says here. To give you great and good cities which you did not build, and houses filled with all kinds of goods which you did not fill, and wells dug which you did not dig, vineyards and olive trees which you did not plant, and you shall eat and be satisfied. So, what is he saying? I'm giving you something you never worked for. Okay? It's already there. He said, you did not build the city. You did not dig the well. You didn't fill the house. You didn't plant the vineyard. You put no effort into this, and I'm giving it to you. So what's the next charge that he gives them? Be on guard. Why? Tell me something in your life, and just think about it and meditate on it. Tell me something in your life that you've worked hard for. You remember that. It's left an impression on you. Something that you've worked hard for. Tell me something that you didn't work hard for. And what kind of impression has that left upon you? This is the importance of telling our children about the Torah. And we'll talk about it whenever we get into Judges. The reason that they kept the Torah in Joshua and the elders' time at that point in time was because they went through the wilderness. They knew the effort that it took to get them where they were that day. If we had a title for this message, it would be Appreciation. By the end of this, I hope that we have a greater appreciation for what our forefathers went through to preserve what we have today. So, the commandments. He gives you precepts. So the command, the laws, and the right rulings, that's in verse 6. The laws, that is chok, it is limit. It is something prescribed. Don't pass this limit. Something prescribed, it is a task, a portion, a boundary. He gives you conditions. It is an appointment. So he said, this is a commandment, and the laws and the right ruling. So the commandment is mitzvah. The laws are chok. And then you have right rulings, which is mishpat, which is judgment, justice, the act of deciding a case. The seat of judgment, attributes, the plan. This is what you teach to your children, and you pass it on. The importance of passing it on. Things are so easily forgotten unless rehearsed and retold. That is why he said this is very important that you pass this on. Because what happened? They got into the land. They didn't know the effort that was put into getting them there, and they lost all value for it. That is why Yah will use the testing in the end for us to appreciate what we will go into. Everything that you're going through now, if you are going through hard times or through bad times or whatever, you're having trouble, issues, the issues in your life make you appreciate the good times that much more. Therefore, they could not go into the land until they first passed through the wilderness. And like I said before, he promised them milk and honey. Why? Another thought that we had was, and it's all in the Torah, do you want this relationship for the sake of the relationship, or do you want it for the benefits? That's why he said, I brought you out here to test you whether you love me or not. I just want to know if you want the land and the milk and honey, or you want me as your Elohim. Because a lot of people do it for the benefits and not the relationship. They were deceived. Not that Yah deceived them, but think about this. Why in the world did Yah bring them out of Egypt and not directly bring them into the land? They come out and they're like, what are we doing here? Where's this land at? Where's the milk and honey? That's why they start thinking about Egypt again. We had this and that and that and this and this. It's because that was Yah's plan the whole time. You don't appreciate what you have unless you work for it. Therefore, in the last days, you will be working for the redemption. And when you get it, you're going to appreciate it that much more. The bad times make you appreciate the good times more. You shall impress them upon your children. So he said, you're coming into this place. You didn't build the city. You didn't dig the well. You didn't fill the house. You didn't plant the vineyard. And then he says, be on guard, lest you forget Yah, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim from the house of bondage. So he's saying, you didn't work for this. Be on guard. Because this is what your forefathers worked for. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And I tell you, Jacob went through a lot. No wonder he received the name Israel, because he was tried, tested, and still righteous in all that he did. He made a vow, even to Laban, he made a vow, and he kept his vow. And how many times did Laban change that vow, or change the wages, or change the years? And he was still faithful. That's why he received the name Israel, because Yah is the one who prevails. So, continuing on. He said, look at this. I'm going to discipline you. You teach this to your children, everything that you've been disciplined. Teach it to your children and impress it upon them. And then I'll bring you into the land. But you got to make sure that you don't disrespect it. You didn't work for anything that is in this land. It's already there and provided for you. Discipline in keeping, observing, to do. I really like that word teach. You shall teach it or impress it on your children. That word is shana. It is to sharpen, to whet, to teach. You shall sharpen your children in this Torah. You're going to impress it upon them. That word forget, we often talk about that word forget. Be on guard, verse 12, lest you forget, to avoid the risk of forgetting Yah, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim from the house of bondage. That is shachak. It is to forget, unless you ignore Yah. Wither. And we talked about that before. When I think about wither, it is through lack of attention. Something withers. If you do not pay attention to plants, what happens to them? If you don't give them what they need, if you don't pay attention to the Torah, what happens? It begins to lose its effectiveness in your life. It begins to wither. You begin to forget about it. That's what that means. Wither. It is to wither from the lack of memory or attention. It is to mislay. That is why he talks about, and you have Joshua, you have Psalms. I think Psalms 1 definitely. You shall meditate on it day and night. Remember, this is about the restoration. That's what that commandment is. That restoration, the mitzvah. To set back in order. Do not forget. Be on guard. Verse 13, revere Yah your Elohim and serve him and swear by his name. Like we said, tell me a story about something you worked really hard for. Deuteronomy 8. Same concept, there's just a little bit more here. Deuteronomy 8 and verse 1. Guard to do every command which I command you today, that you might live, and shall increase, and go in, and shall possess the land of which Yah swore to your fathers. So he talks about the discipline again. Discipline yourself. Be disciplined. Keep the commands, the mitzvah, commandment, the code of wisdom. That you might live, and shall increase, and go in, and shall possess the land of which Yah swore to your fathers. And you shall remember that Yah your Elohim led you all the way these 40 years in the wilderness, to humble you, to prove you, to know what is in your heart, whether you guard his commands or not. So, do you just want the promised land, or you don't want the relationship that comes with it? He said, I'm humbling you in the wilderness to see where your heart is. I'm proving you in the wilderness to see if you love me or not. Or you just want the benefits of my relationship. This is what he's saying. I'm going to bring you into this land. It's supplied. Everything is there. Flowing with, man, that milk and honey sounds great. I'm going to bring you into this land. Did they want the benefits or the relationship? And he was testing them for that real reason. I'm going to humble you to see what's in your heart. And you could see what was in their heart. It didn't take long. They didn't want the relationship. They didn't want Yah. They wanted the benefits. And you shall remember that Yah, your Elohim, led you all the way these 40 years. And I just keep striking my mind. They came out of Egypt and they did not go directly into the kingdom because they never would have appreciated it. They had to work for it. And we'll talk about some people that worked. Sent to the wilderness to humble you, to prove you, to know what is in your heart, whether you guard his commands or not. So whether you want to be in this covenant or not, I'm just not going to give you all of my benefits. And he humbled you and let you suffer hunger and fed you with manna, which you did not know, nor did your fathers know, to make you know that a man does not live by bread alone. So they wanted the bread, they wanted the manna. I'm hungry. He gave them, what was it? The quail. You saw what was in their heart. You saw what they wanted. Did your fathers know, to make you know that a man does not live by bread alone, but all that comes from the mouth of Yah? Your garments did not wear out on you, nor did your foot swell these 40 years. So you were taken care of, but you were so worried about the things that you didn't have, you didn't focus on what you did have. My garments didn't wear out, my feet didn't swell. Yah took care of me. Your garments did not wear out on you, nor did your foot swell these 40 years. And I'm telling you, walking for 40 years. Thus you shall know in your heart that as a man disciplines his son, there you go, disciplines his son, so Yah, your Elohim, disciplines you. And it makes a lot more sense whenever we get into Ecclesiastes, and it says that inheritance with wisdom is good. Because you know all the work that had to go into the things that you receive. If you don't have wisdom, when you receive the inheritance, what happens? It's gone. You spend it up. Everything that they've worked hard for, and that's all throughout Ecclesiastes. Everything that I've worked for, when I die, it's just going to be passed on to somebody else. Another thought that Jan's given us this week. What's the first thing evangelical Christians ask you? What's the question? Are you saved, or where are you going to go when you die? Where are you going to go when you die? Have you ever thought about dying before? They're going to scare you. And the reason I think about that is because the more that I see Tanakh, it's about the journey and less about the destination. Of course, we want to get to the kingdom. But what did you learn along the way? It's about maturing. When he said, walk before me, Abraham, and be perfect, he's talking about mature. Grow up. That's what he's saying. So you think about it, Tanakh is about the journey of getting to the kingdom, and Christianity's already got you at the end. He did this to humble you. Your garments did not wear out. He's going to discipline you as he does a son. Therefore you shall guard the commands of your Elohim, Yah, to walk in his ways, to reverence him. For Yah, your Elohim, is bringing you to a land of streams of water, of fountains and springs that flow out of valleys and hills, a land of wheat and barley, of vines and fig trees and pomegranates, and a land of olive oil and honey. A land in which you eat bread without scarcity, in which you do not lack at all. A land whose stones are iron, and out of hills, whose hills you dig copper. So, and that's the honest truth about Yah, what he's promising to them here. There is no land like Israel. When it comes to the fertility of the land, there is no land like Israel. Yah blessed that land. That is his land. So, and you shall eat and be satisfied, and shall bless Yah your Elohim for the good land which he has given you. Now what does he say? He said, I'm giving you things that you did not work for, so appreciate them when you receive them. But you're only going to appreciate it if you got to put in the work. That's why he led them through the wilderness. Be on guard, verse 11, lest you forget Yah, mislay, for lack of attention, your Elohim, by not guarding his commands and his right rulings and his laws. That's the same thing. Mitzvah, mishpat, and chok. His commands and his right rulings. Have good judgment. Should I do this or should I not do this? An act of deciding the case. Attributes, the plan. And his laws which I command you today. Lest you eat and shall be satisfied, and build lovely houses and shall dwell in them. And your herds and your flocks increase, and your silver and your gold are increased, and all that you have is increased. That your heart then becomes lifted up, and you forget, mislay, through lack of attention, Yah, your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mizraim from the house of bondage. Who led you, don't forget the leading, who led you through the great and awesome wilderness, fiery serpents and scorpions and thirst, where there was no water, who brought water for you out of the flinty rock. who led you in the wilderness with manna, which your fathers did not know, in order to humble you and to try you, to do you good in the end. When you come into the land, do not forget the work that was put into it. This is what you teach your children. I know the work that my father and my mother have put into their house. If I was to receive that house, it is appreciation. That's the inheritance. Your inheritance is this word. And what I mean by that is our forefathers, the Jewish nation, have put a lot of effort into preserving this word for you, that you may have it today. So today is the day of appreciation. Think about Moses. Starved 80 days, 40 on, 40 off, and he carried those heavy stones down the mountain. We can't skip a meal and don't want to lift weights. I'm telling you, that's some effort. You think about Joshua and all the battles that Joshua fought to get into that land. No wonder in Judges it said that they loved his word, because they knew the effort they put into it. And when we get into Judges, it says that generation passed, and as soon as that generation passed, what happened? Remember the work that was put in. Notice he did not take them directly into the land. I'm doing this to humble you, to prove you, to know what is in your heart, whether you would love me or not. He continues on. Lest you eat and be satisfied, lest you be lifted up and you forget Yah. You shall then say in your heart, my power and my strength of my hand have made for me this wealth. But you shall remember Yah, your Elohim, for it is he who gives you power to get wealth in order to establish his covenant, which he swore to your fathers as it is today. And it shall be, if you by any means forget Yah, your Elohim, and follow other mighty ones and serve them and bow yourself to them, I have warned you this day that you shall certainly perish. You think about the parallels between Christianity and the Tanakh. You work for what you have when it comes to the Tanakh. Somebody did the labor for you. How much do you appreciate that? You work for it. He says, you repent, you turn, you keep my word, you obey me. Christianity says, you can't do that. It said that, I think it's in Galatians, it talks about it and says that if you could do righteousness, then Christ has died in vain. You can. And there are many testimonies that you can. It's possible. They tell you you can't. God says you can in Deuteronomy 30. It's not difficult for you. It's not too hard for you to perform this. It's not too far off that you can't grasp it. So what is it? Is it what they say or what Yah says? Continuing on. You shall remember that it is Yah who gives you the power to preserve the covenant. If by any means you forget Yah, your Elohim, if by any means you forget Yah, your Elohim, and follow other mighty ones and serve them and bow yourself to them, I have warned you this day that you shall certainly perish. Like the nations which Yah is destroying before you, so you are to perish because you did not obey the voice of Yah, your Elohim. So once that covenant gets broken and they step out, you're no longer under that protection. You're going to perish. He's no longer going to preserve you. To be humbled, to prove, and to know. That word humbled is to be occupied. It's the same thing. They were burdened with their afflictions. We talked about Exodus, I think it was last week or the week before, Exodus 1. To be occupied. If you read it in context with this, it means to be bowed down. I did this to humble you, to cause you to bow down, to cause you to become low, to cause you not to be proud. To prove you is Nasab. I'm going to test you, whether you love me or not. I'm going to prove your love. Remember, his love does not need to be tested because he has already proved himself. Even to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob going into Israel and coming out of Egypt. even through all the generations of the land of Israel and the nation of Israel, Yah has been faithful. You do not need to test his love. Test, try, put to the proof. And then you have to know whether you would keep my commands or not. That is, learn to know, find out. I want to be revealed, or I want to see if you're going to keep this. To perceive, I'm going to observe you, whether you love me or not. Remember, we talked about it's the relationship or it's the benefits. Which one do you want? Now, if you have the relationship, the benefits are just a plus. It's not about what he can do for you. They were disciplined. Then when he disciplined them, they were like, where's the milk and honey? When they were getting disciplined through the wilderness and he was trying to teach them and whet them or sharpen them, like it was talking about in Deuteronomy 6, then they were like, where's the milk and honey? We're out in this land. Why aren't we in the promised land yet? And then what they start to think about? The flesh pots, the melons. I'm thirsty. I'm hungry. The wilderness leads you to the promised land. You got to work for it. In the last days, you will be tested. You will go through hard times. And then when you get to the land, you are fully going to appreciate what Yah has done for you. And I'm telling you, when he says that your heart and your mind are going to be full of the Torah, that's how it's going to happen. The whole purpose of the wilderness is to see if you want the benefits or the relationship, to test and to humble, to see what is in your heart. 1 Kings. 1 Kings chapter 3. First Kings chapter 3 and verse 1, and Shalamoth joined in marriage with Pharaoh, sovereign of Mitzrayim, and took the daughter of Pharaoh and brought her to the city of David until he had completed building his own house and the house of Yah and the wall all around Jerusalem, which Yah said, don't do that. Yah said, don't take you foreign wives, lest they take you away from me and tell you to serve other mighty ones. And that's what happened to Solomon. Only the people slaughtered at high places for the house of the name of Yah had not been built until those days. And Shalamoth loved Yah, walking in the laws of his father David, except that he slaughtered and burnt incense at high places. Now, whether that is him rebuking him for that, or that's the only place that they had because the temple had not been built yet, I don't know. Because right after this, Yah loves what he did. And the sovereign went to Gibeon to slaughter there, for that was the great high place. Shalamoth offered 1,000 burnt offerings on the altar. At Gibeon, Yah appeared to Shalamoth in a dream by night, and Elohim said, ask what I shall give you. And Shalamoth said, you have shown great kindness to your servant David, my father, as he walked before you in truth and in righteousness and in uprightness of heart with you. And you have guarded for him this great kindness and gave him a son to sit on his throne as it is this day. And now, O Yah, my Elohim, you have appointed your servant to reign instead of my father David, but I am a little child. I do not know how to go out or to come in. And your servant is in the midst of your people whom you have chosen, a great people too numerous to be numbered or counted. Shall you then give to your servant an understanding heart to rule your people, to discern between good and evil? For who is able to rule this great people of yours? And the word was good in the eyes of Yah that Shalamoth had asked this. So Elohim said to him, because you have asked this and have not asked long life for yourself, nor have you asked riches for yourself, nor have you asked life of your enemies, but have asked for yourself discernment to understand right ruling. This is your inheritance. This wisdom has been passed down, and that's what he's talking about from David. Read the book of Proverbs. Read the book of Proverbs. Do not forsake my Torah, my son. That is David talking to Solomon. So this is what he received. And he said, this is my father, and this is what he's taught me. Give me the ability to judge righteously. And he said, because you didn't ask for the riches or the life of your foes, so I shall do according to your word. So you're going to get the wisdom. But see, I shall give you a wise and understanding heart, so that there was none like you before you, and none like you shall arise after you. And I shall give you what you have not asked, both riches and esteem, so that there shall not be anyone like you among the sovereigns all your days. And if you walk in my ways to guard my laws and my commandments, as your father David walked, then I shall prolong your days. And Shalomoth awoke, and see, it was a dream. And he came into Jerusalem, and stood before the ark of the covenant of Yah, and offered up burnt offerings, and made peace offerings, and he made a feast for all of his servants. So because you didn't ask for these, I'm going to add these to you. He didn't want the benefits. He just wanted the wisdom. He wanted the relationship. So, wisdom is your inheritance. This is your treasure. Be thankful for the work your forefathers put in, that you can have this word, this wisdom, this confidence, this expectation. Today is the day of appreciation. Judges chapter 2. Judges chapter 2 and verse 1. And the messenger of Yah came up to Gilgal, to Bochim, and said, I led you up from Mitzrayim, and brought you to the land of which I swore to your fathers. And I said, I do not break my covenant with you. And as for you, do not make a covenant with the inhabitants of this land. Break down their altars, but you have not obeyed my voice. What is this you have done? Therefore I also said, I am not driving them out from before you, and they shall be adversaries to you, and their mighty ones shall be a snare to you. And it came to be, when the messenger of Yah spoke these words to all the children of Israel, that the people lifted up their voice and wept. So they called the name of that place Bochim, and slaughtered there to Yah. Then Yehoshua dismissed the people, and the children of Israel went each to his own inheritance to possess the land. And the people served Yah all the days of Yehoshua, and all the days of the elders who outlived Yehoshua, who had seen all the great works of Yah which he had done for Israel. You can do it. You can do it. It's possible. There's many testimonies of the people that keep Torah. They said they served Yah. That means they kept his Torah. Yehoshua and all the elders in that generation. Let's read that again. And the people served Yah all the days of Yehoshua and all the days of the elders who outlived Yehoshua, who had seen all the great works of Yah, which he had done for Israel. They know the effort that was put into it. And Yehoshua, son of Nun, the servant of Yah, died 110 years old. And they buried him within the border of his inheritance in Timnath. Here's Heres, in the mountains of Ephraim, on the north side of the Mount of Gaash. And all the generation were likewise gathered to their fathers, so that generation passed away. And another generation arose after them who did not know Yah, nor the work which he had done for Israel. They didn't know the effort that was put into it. So what happened? Then the children of Israel did evil in the eyes of Yah, and served the lords, the Baals, and forsook Yah Elohim of their fathers, who had brought them out of the land of Mitzrayim, and went after other mighty ones of the people who were all around them, and they bowed down to them and provoked them. I brought you out of Egypt. That generation passed. That generation put in the work. Then the next generation comes along and does not appreciate the path that had been made, because they didn't work for it. That's why he says, discipline yourself, discipline your children, teach them about what I have done. When they go in, they will appreciate what they have worked for. This generation coming along is entitled, They Do Not Know the Value of Hard Work. Through the bad times, wilderness, we learn to appreciate the good times, the promised land. Like we talked about before, Moses and the tablets. He fasted 40 days on, 40 days on, and still carried those stones down the mountain. I'm telling you, that was not a slide. That was not an easy path. He climbed all the way up the mountain and climbed down the mountain. And when he climbed down the mountain, he had tablets in his hand. That's work. That's effort. And he was hungry on top of that. He had no energy. The only energy that he was going on was what Yah provided him with. That's work. Joshua, that's work. Fighting for the land and coming into it, no wonder they kept the Torah. They knew the effort that was put into it. Ecclesiastes 6. So if you're working hard for something today, one day that's all going to pay off for you. And it'll make you appreciate that time. I'm telling you, it couldn't be any other way. They could not be taken out of Egypt, thrown directly into the promised land, because they would not have appreciated what Yah had done for them. Ecclesiastes 6 and verse 11. The more words and the more futility. I think that's where I'm at. Good life, faith, from the shadow. Okay, never mind. It's 7. Sorry. Ecclesiastes 7. And let's start in 11. Wisdom is good with an inheritance and an advantage to those who see the sun. So, if you gain something that you did not work for, you better be wise on how to use it. That's why he says that. You think about Solomon, he did not work for what his dad did, and his dad did a lot. Maybe that's why he lost appreciation for it and he turned to false idols. Who knows? But what you work for, you will appreciate. Continuing on, wisdom is good with an inheritance, so you must be wise when you receive something that you have not worked for, and an advantage to those who see the sun. For wisdom protects as silver protects, but the advantage of knowledge is that wisdom gives life to those who have it. Okay? You can't buy everything you want. You can't have everything you want. There is a Rolling Stones song out there, and it goes, you can't always get what you want, but when you try, sometimes you might find you get what you need. You can't always have everything, but Yah gives you exactly what you need. Wisdom protects as silver protects, but wisdom is better than silver. So the wisdom is your inheritance. See the work of Elohim, for who is able to make straight that which he has made crooked? He does that for a purpose. Be glad in the days of prosperity. You got good days. But in the day of trouble, or the evil day, take note that Elohim has appointed the one as well as the other, so that man should not uncover what is after him. You don't know what's going to happen next. But realize, he says, appreciate the good days, because there are bad days. And the bad days help you to appreciate the good days. Some people don't appreciate anything, though. The man should not uncover what is after him. I have seen it all in my days of futility. There is a righteous man perishing in his righteousness, and there is a wicked one living in his evil. You have to be really wise with an inheritance. Do we know the value of the dollar? And I think about this. Your wage is an hour of your life that you worked. So whether you have a job, whatever you do, your wage is an hour of your life that you worked. How do you spend it? The value of hard work. Knowing how much time you put into the job that you do, how do you spend that money? The inheritance is something gained without labor. So appreciate the hard work that your forefathers labored for you to have this word. The hardship you endure now, whatever you're going through, will make the kingdom that much sweeter. Psalms 37, and we'll close out. Psalm 37, we'll read through all of it. Of David, do not fret because of evildoers. Do not be envious of the workers of unrighteousness, for they soon wither like grass and fade like green plants. Their place will be no more. They will be gone. Yah's going to destroy them. And I'm going to hold on until proved otherwise. The ones who keep Yah's commands and the ones that keep his covenant will eat of the tree of life. and feed like green plants. Trust in Yah and do good. Dwell in the earth and feed on steadfastness and delight yourself in Yah. Remember, you keep the commands because it's the one that you serve. It's Yah. It's his commands. And delight yourself in Yah and let him give you the desires of your heart. Commit your way to Yah and trust in him, and he does it. And he shall bring forth your righteousness as the light, and your right ruling as midday. Rest in Yah and wait patiently for him. That is a principle of Tanakh, is what? Waiting. Waiting on him. Being patient for him. You think about all the years that they spent in Egypt. They had to be patient for the promise to come about. He will give you the desires of your heart. Rest in Yah and wait patiently for him. Do not fret because of him who prospers in his way. Because of the man doing wicked devices, abstain from displeasure and forsake wrath. Let neither fret only to do evil, for evildoers are cut off, but those who wait on Yah shall inherit the earth. This is your inheritance. Yet a little while, and the wicked one is no more, and you shall look on his place, but it is not. You won't be able to find him. Where is he at? Where is his place? And even at the end of Isaiah, what does it say? Their dead bodies are going to be a witness of what it will look like to live a wicked life. To those who are in the kingdom, you will see their dead bodies. That's the end of Isaiah. I don't remember if it's what chapter that it was. And you shall look on his place, but it is not. The meek one shall inherit the earth and delight themselves in plenty of peace. Peace for everybody, plenty of peace. The wicked plots against the righteous and gnashes his teeth at him. Yah laughs at him, for he sees that his day is coming. The wicked have drawn the sword and have bent their bow to cause the poor and needy to fall, to slay those who walk straightly. Their sword enters into their own heart, and their bows are broken. Better is a little of the righteous one than the riches of many wicked. For the arms of the wicked are broken, but Yah sustains the righteous. Yah knows the days of the perfect, the mature, the upright, and their inheritance is forever. They are not ashamed in a time of evil, and in the days of scarcity of food they are satisfied. But the wicked shall perish, and the enemies of Yah, like the splendor of the meadows, they vanish. Like smoke, they vanish away. So, poof, they're gone. There's no eternal hellfire. There's no eternal hellfire. They are gone. Poof. But the wicked shall perish, and the enemies of Yah, like the splendor of the meadows, they vanish. Like smoke, they vanish away. The wicked borrows and does not repay, but the righteous one shows favor and gives. For his blessing, or his blessed, Baruch ones inherit the earth, but those cursed by him are cut off. The steps of a man are ordered by Yah, and he delights in his way. That's that restoration. Though he falls, he is not cast down. Remember, it's not about the end result. It's about the journey. Though he falls, he is not cast down, for Yah is supporting his hand. I have been young, and now I am old, yet I have not seen the righteous forsaken, or his seed begging bread. All day long he is showing favor and lending, and his seed is for a barakah, a blessing. Turn away from evil and do good, and dwell forever. For Yah loves right ruling, and does not forsake his kind ones. They shall be guarded forever, but the seed of the wicked is cut off. The righteous shall inherit the earth and dwell in it forever. The mouth of the righteous speaks wisdom, and his tongue talks of right ruling. The Torah of his Elohim is in his heart. His steps do not slide. The wicked is watching for the righteous and is seeking to slay him. Yah does not leave him in his hand, or let him be declared wicked when he is judged. Wait on Yah and guard his way, and he shall exalt you to inherit the earth. When the wicked are cut off, you shall see it. I have seen the wicked in great power and spreading himself like a native green tree. Yet he passed away, and see, he was not. And I sought him, but he was not found. Watch the perfect and observe the straight, for the latter end of each is peace. But the transgressors shall be destroyed together. The latter end of the wicked shall be cut off. But the deliverance of the righteous is from Yah, their strength in time of distress. And Yah helps them and deliver them. And he delivers them from the wicked and saves them, because they took refuge in him. Waiting on Yah is a principle. It is one of the top things when it comes to service. Do you want Yah for the relationship, for the fact that he is your Elohim and you are his people, or do you just want it for the milk and the honey? I think about those things. And I think about he did not take them out of Egypt and directly take them into the kingdom because he wanted to see if they loved him. Yah is good. Yah bless every one of you. Baruch Hashem. Hallelujah. Amen.